Hey there, fellow wanderers. Step softly now into the waking heartbeat of a medieval town, the public square. The chill of early morning clings to your cloak as the sun rises reluctantly behind a haze of soot and frost. All around, the square stirs. A chorus of merchants shouting over one another, the bray of donkeys straining beneath heavy carts, and the soft clang of distant hammer against iron. It's a chaos with rhythm, a daily hymn to survival. The air is thick with the scent of roasting meat, sour cheese, damp wool, and something less polite, dung and damp earth mingling beneath your boots. Beneath you, the cobblestones are worn smooth by centuries of feet, and not a one lies even. You sidestep a puddle where the drainage gave up long ago. Children streak past, laughing, weaving between legs like feral cats. To one side, a farmer argues loudly over a freshly butchered pig. Nearby, a noblewoman draped in velvet examines dyes imported from foreign ports, her maids whispering in bored delight. A toothless man offers potions. A blind woman sells herbs by scent. A bard tunes his lyre. And yet for all this colour, all this movement, there's a weight. Time presses in from every wall, every soot-stained beam. This is no fairy tale. This is life muddy, loud, aching, alive. So, before we dive deeper, I ask only this. If this kind of raw, unvarnished truth speaks to you, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a trace of yourself in the comments. Tell me your city, your time, your state of mind. Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of your fan blend with the wind of centuries past. Let's begin. And remember, in medieval times, even survival was a luxury. As you weave through the jumble of humanity, you notice a fellow traveler, perhaps a merchant or a tradesman, with an abundance of fabrics trailing from a wooden cart. The colors are faded, yet each piece tells tales from afar. Silks from the east intermingle with coarse wools from the north, each whispering stories of their own journeys across stormy seas and bandit-filled forests. You might think it an easy choice, yet centuries ago, deciding fabric was akin to selecting the right smartphone today. The feel and texture beneath your fingers could dictate social standing or weather a harsh winter. Historians still argue whether the medieval square was more chaos or camaraderie. Certainly, the onslaught to the senses smells that range from spicy frankincense to earthly mushrooms is balanced by irresistible sights. Here, a baker's cart piled high with dark, yeasty loaves beckons you closer, while the warmth of fresh bread, coupled with the brisk chill outside, makes your stomach rumble in anticipation. Nearby, a juggler commands a small audience, tossing his flaming torches into the air with a flourish that each watcher believes is just for them, a promise of warmth on a cold morning. Behind them, one can overhear suspicions whispered of wizards' involvement, perhaps because one of those jugglers inevitably keeps his limbs intact in this precarious profession. Surrounded by medieval garb, you get a sense of the unspoken social cues. The layers of musty-smelling garments function not just as a barrier between you and the wind, but as indicators of one's place. Unlike today's casual jeans and tees, your outfit in this square is your resume, your social media profile, your dating app, all in one. It broadcasts your wealth, your trade, your affiliations, a tapestry of your identity, hand-spun and dyed. The square is vibrant and non-stop, and the senses are ever stimulated. You can almost sense the ghosts of barters past lingering in the air, reminding you of how this shared space was once the center of community life. The symphony of the square is an ancient one, composed of wheel creaks, bargain strikes, and fleeting glances exchanged under hoods and hats. There's even a stray cat or two weaving its stealthy path through the crowded feet, hoping for a dropped morsel or a generous hand. And so, your visit to the medieval public square begins. Each step through this pulsating artery of daily life retraces the footprints of those who walked these cobblestones hundreds of years before you. Here, in this hive of activity, history is not a forgotten relic kept in dusty tomes or silent statues. Instead, it is alive, unfolding around you in a blend of color, sound, and scent, as tangible as the chill in the air or the rough stone beneath your feet. As you absorb the ambience, you can't help but wonder at the sheer tenacity of life in medieval times, where the square wasn't just a location to visit, it was the heart of existence itself.
As you move further into the dimly lit library, the air seems to change thicker, more venerable, as if it carries the weight of the ages in each particle. Your eyes adjust to the soft glow of candlelight that flickers across the shelves and spills tenderly onto the stone floor, revealing a world that has rested quietly for centuries. It's this light that dances teasingly on the spines of countless tomes, reflecting them like ancient sentinels patiently waiting for an inquisitive mind. A new scent greets you, subtly different from the entrance. The melancholy smell of aged parchment, a smell uniquely evocative of history. It's as if the library itself is breathing, exhaling stories of old parables and philosophical discourses, theological musings, and scientific endeavors, all blending together in a silent chorus. Stepping further inside, the shadows deepen around the towering wooden tables, each bearing their own tales scratched into their surfaces, perhaps accidental notes of ink spills or purposeful etchings made by idle hands. The tables seem to reach out for you, offering rest to the weary traveler, or perhaps perspective to the eager scholar. Your fingers trail across one, feeling the grooves and notches, invoking the mystique of the countless souls who once pondered upon these very surfaces, second-guessing their understanding of the world. You glance upward, where formidable shelves rise like wooden cliffs, packed to the brim with scrolls and bound manuscripts that stretch far beyond your line of sight. Protected from dust by careful leather covers and cloth wrappings, they stand in testament to the laborious work of preservation carried out by generations of committed scribes. It's rumored that some of these monks consumed countless nights under the flicker of oil lamps transcribing texts, their effort mirrored in the faint ink stains that blot their robes. As you continue to explore, you're drawn to a central aisle where the pale light cascades down like a spotlight onto an island of books. There, you catch sight of various monks moving silently, draped in the familiar dark robes, their hoods casting shadows across their faces. Their movements are purposeful but slow, blending seamlessly into the library's enduring calm. Almost as if by silent agreement, the monks maintain an air of sacred concentration. Perhaps they are curators, guardians of this vast knowledge, ensuring each manuscript finds its rightful place. Or maybe they are simply travelers like you, seeking fragments of truth within these storied walls. However, one monk stands apart, seemingly lost in a world of his own creation. His eyes dart across the texts with an intensity suggesting more than just casual perusal. His presence is somehow comforting, a reminder that knowledge is not trapped within lifeless pages, but thrives through human engagement, the very essence of thoughts expanding the confines of parchment. You nod your head to yourself, in appreciation of how the library does not discriminate in its offerings. Whether its wisdom is sought for divine inspiration or worldly enlightenment, it remains a shoulder for the pensive to lean upon. Suddenly, from above, you hear the faint flutter of wings. Your eyes dart upward to see a small bird, squeezing in through a narrow window, flitting between the rafters. Its sudden arrival is a reminder of nature's persistent presence, even amidst these scholarly pursuits. The monks, familiar with these feathered visitors, seem unfazed, gracefully continuing their meditative work. It's a moment that draws a smile, juxtaposing the mundane with this otherworldly bastion of civilization, a natural alarm clock, reminding patrons that life exists beyond parchment and ink. And in the quiet that follows the bird's departure, you catch the barely audible rustle of turning pages, a sound that's comforting and full of promise. It reminds you of restless evenings when stories spoken aloud conjured magic beneath flickering candlelight. Historians still argue whether the act of reading was a solitary or communal affair in these times, but here, the whispering paper speaks volumes louder than any words ever could. With each silent step between rows of bound wisdom, you are surrounded by hushed sanctuary, a palpable spirit of inquisitiveness. The world beyond these walls grows distant, gradually subsumed by the weight of exploration. In fact, It feels as if your trek through the library has transcended time itself, a curious blend of the present, rooted firmly in the past. Time drips slowly here, each moment a lingering ellipsis stretched by the curling smoke of candle wicks and punctuated by the rare but reassuring rustle of robes as a monk passes. Perhaps what truly endures among these walls isn't simply what is written, but what is felt in all-encompassing awareness that every step within this sacred chamber wades through the indelible streams of time. You take a deep breath, embracing the atmosphere, a meditative calm that both soothes and stimulates, leaving an indelible mark even as you move onward. In this stronghold of thought, you have embraced not just a library, but a fortress of inquiry, where every looming shadow guards secrets waiting to be whispered into the willing ear. As you continue your quiet sojourn through the hallowed aisles of the library, the echo of quills scratching against parchment gradually seeps into your awareness. It is a gentle sound, oddly soothing in its regularity, a soft symphony composed by those whose lives are woven into the fabric of words and ink. At a large, weathered table adorned with scattered inkpots and parchment sheets, several monks are immersed in their laborious task of manuscript copying. This scene unfolds like an ancient dance, each participant knowing their precise role amidst the quiet chaos. Their quills glide gracefully across the surface, leaving behind trails of dark, overarching loops of ink, each stroke a deliberate commitment to accuracy and detail. The monks themselves are cloaked in simple, threadbare garments, hoods casting shadows that veil their devotion in a mysterious aura. The serenity of their expressions suggests an unspoken pact. With time it may bend and stretch, but never collapse. As long as these vigilant scribes persist, there's a certain elegance in their actions, as though the very act of writing is imbued with spiritual grace, a testament to their enduring faith in the sanctity of knowledge. One monk, cradling a quill as if an extension of his very fingertips, is deeply engrossed in the ornate task of embellishing a capital letter. The pigments he uses, derived from various minerals and plants, add a vibrancy that stands in stark contrast to the library's earthy tones. With each meticulous stroke, a vibrant tapestry comes to life, a tapestry that historians still argue whether served only artistic purposes or played key roles in religious instruction. Listening closely, you detect a fragrance lingering around the scriptorium, as if the essence of ink has taken on a personality of its own. It carries an almost meditative sweetness tinged with metallic undertones, as though the library itself is alive with the musky aroma of scholarly pursuit. It spices the air with possibilities that the monks are currently exploring or will enlighten others to discover in the future. Among these dedicated scribes there are pauses, breaks to refresh or to contemplate, but even these interruptions are sacred. Moments where the monks connect silently with thoughts greater than their own. They are living embodiments of devotion, serving as bridges between the past and present, ever loyal to their sacred duty, one line at a time. Moreover, you can imagine their fingers occasionally cramping from hours of maintaining a steady hand. Yet there's a persistent twinkle of determination, visible in fleeting glimpses when they adjust their posture or wipe an errant bead of sweat from their brows with the backs of their trembling hands. A jest might escape any modern worker about the horrors of cubicle life. And surely, this place would seem both medieval and painstaking by comparison. But truth be told, there is undeniable honor in the simplicity of their task. These monks are not just witnesses to history. They are its chroniclers, tasked with the arduous journey of capturing thoughts, beliefs, and discoveries, transmuting them from ephemeral spoken words to lasting written ones. Each letter they draft strengthens the sinews of the mind, leaving footprints of knowledge for souls yet unborn to follow, perhaps in scholarly confidence, or maybe in audacious rebellion. As you continue to observe, you realize that these monks are not isolated within their world. Indeed, they are connected to a greater cosmos with every stroke of their quills, creating links between distant minds and forgotten voices, documenting the unyielding tide of human thought. This sacred undertaking might seem monotonous to an outsider, yet it embraces a subtly rhythmic beauty comparable to any grand opus. The atmosphere around the scribes is heavy with the twin aromas of pungent ink and burning candle wax, creating an experience equal parts ethereal and grounding. Each page they fill stands as a counterpoint to the constant churn of time, a defiance of obsolescence, and the transient nature of existence. You find yourself marveling at the perseverance and quiet intensity of these men, devoted not to their personal gain or fame, but to an ideal, a truth transcending their own mortality. They labor for a future they will never see, a game changer for an uncertain world, shaping an intellectual tapestry that resists the wear of ages and promises to ignite the minds it touches. It's a comforting solace that illustrates one unyielding fact. Across the undulating rivers of time and belief, change and knowledge abide. Their custodians remain, furiously inscribing hopes onto parchment wings, casting wisdom like seeds into winds yet blown. With each step you take further into the library's heart, the monks' whispers of devotion echo softly, still reminding you that the act of writing, though tedious, though arduous, can indeed be a sacred dance, a quiet revolution of ink. Your gaze drifts over the expanse of the library, settling on the intricate layout that makes this sanctuary not just a repository of books, but a carefully orchestrated symphony of design and purpose. The room is organized in such a way that it feels almost ceremonial, an open invitation to both observe and interact with the treasures amassed within these walls. The library itself is divided into distinct areas, each serving a purpose that speaks to the medieval mind's need for order and methodical inquiry. The design is deliberate, providing ample space for the monks to walk unhindered beneath arches of shadow, their movements silent except for the occasional soft creak of aged wood underfoot. Here, you can envision them, lost in contemplation, reflections perhaps mingling with the ambient flickers of candlelight. The long wooden tables anchor the space, each strewn with manuscripts and surrounded by stools that seem inclined to invite thoughtfulness or, as is often the case, a short nap interrupted by a sharp snort. If these tables could talk, oh, what stories they'd share of lively debates about Aristotle, frantic searches for misplaced manuscripts, and perhaps even whispered secrets from one monk's weary mind to another's attentive ear. Near the edges of the room, hefty shelves tower prodigiously, arranged not merely as practical storages, but, rather, constructs of testimony. Each shelf is a labor of love, carefully oiled and polished, resonating pride in diligent workmanship that ensures these bounded words remain easily accessible. The shelves' placements mirror a monastic grandeur, reverberating poetic solitude in their height, and quietly beckoning those with the ambition or inclination to reach upward. On closer observation, you notice that every shelf is meticulously annotated to correspond with specific categories of learning, a testament to the library's adherence to the formidable traditions of knowledge classification. Here you find Bibles and theological manuscripts occupying the most honored positions, their spines like revered, unyielding spires in this cosmogonic cathedral. Adjacent to them dwell the philosophical musings of antiquity, texts by influential thinkers such as Aristotle, Plato, and Ptolemy, forming a bridge to more worldly considerations. In an alcove, slightly removed from the main expanse, you find scrolls bundled together in tapered stacks, their contents perhaps revealing geographic discoveries or encoded astrological charts, manifesting the monk's fascination with the confluence of faith and reason. They are ensconced against stone, sacred maps guiding knowledge as eternal pilgrims along paths Gaia herself might have whispered in her whispered incantations. Still, your curiosity leads you to the open space between the shelves, where you imagine a contemporary dialogue taking place, quietly but passionately. It's curious how these spaces lack ostentation, how instead they revel in simplicity, proving how even grand thoughts can thrive in unadorned vessels. Among these towering structures reside heavy, leather-bound tomes laid open on lecterns scattered throughout the room. Their presence is unwavering, providing easy access to printed wisdom while also serving as symbolic anchors to the earthly realm, a realm that, despite its temporal nature, is nurtured by the pursuit of knowledge. As you take it all in, there's a natural ebb and flow between silence and solace, between the ancient wisdom contained within these tomes and the almost tactile sensation of potential discovery coursing through the air. The architecture, though stark and practical, speaks to a deeper invitation to go beyond the limitations of the spoken word, to embrace the rhythmic undulation of reflection and contemplation. At times, the library almost seems to whisper encouragement to those daring enough to delve into its secrets. The monks, with the quiet diligence of ants, remain undistracted by this ethereal conversation, transfixed instead by the task at hand, each absorbed in realms made vivid through ink, intellect, and inspiration. Suddenly, there's an overwhelming awareness that this isn't just an intellectual repository. It is a pilgrimage site, a holy terrain where the very air breathes history and mystery. Somehow, the physical and the intangible have interspersed within these walls, mingling, indistinct. As your fingers trace the spines of various tomes, you feel a connection, a thread binding you to scholars of old people driven by curiosity, perhaps imprinted by the urge to discover truths that are both enduring and impermanent. In our modern era, libraries may often evoke images of stress-induced cramming, fueled by coffee and panic. Yet here, they are serene and reverent, offering the eager a place not just to lose oneself, but to encounter courage, to illuminate the shadows, and to reach beyond the pages to embrace a world where ideas beget change. Such is the complex beauty of the library's layout, a seemingly simple orchestra of wooden shelves and quiet corners. Weaving through these alcoves, amidst endless whispers sealed within ink, there exists a touching affirmation, a silent companionship with knowledge that transcends mere geography. In this reverent space, the monastic library feels less like a collection of books and more like a carefully cultivated garden of wisdom, where each text represents a seed, eager to spring forth ideas not yet imagined. As you allow yourself to be immersed in the atmosphere of the library, one of its most striking features makes a subtle but profound impression, the pervasive silence that envelops the space like a thick, comforting blanket. It's a silence so deep and reverent that it feels alive, as though the very walls are holding their breath in anticipation of the whispered wisdom contained within their embrace. This silence isn't simply the absence of sound. Rather, it's a tangible presence, a sacred agreement honored by every soul that treads the flagstone floors. The silence here is an art form, a discipline practiced with the same rigorous devotion as the monk's study and transcription. You imagine it to be as methodical as the monk's script, each moment a stroke in the grand composition of monastic life. The only counterpoints to this profound quiet are the gentle rustle of pages being turned, the muffled thud of a book closing, and the faint echoes of footsteps across the ancient stones. Occasionally, a soft cough or the rattle of abacus beads breaks the stillness, momentary ripples across the calm surface of the library's aura. Such sounds are not intrusions. They are integral parts of the symphony of silence, like low notes grounding a balanced melody. Within this quietude, the air itself seems charged with expectancy, fostering an environment conducive to the contemplation of the mysteries set before you. It's speculated that this enforced silence was not merely a courtesy to concentration, but a spiritual practice. The stillness allowed for contemplation that could lead to an epiphany, a sudden revelation, carrying a trace of the divine presence. The monks, ever courteous in their work, appear as specters moving quietly through this sacred space, acknowledging but not disturbing the ever-present quiet. Each of them is enveloped in a cocoon of silence, respectful not only of the space's tranquility, but of the rich spiritual traditions deeply intertwined with their scholarly endeavors. As you listen, you half expect the silence to unravel secrets of its own, a language understood only by those who spend long hours entwined in its gentle embrace. It's said that those who master the silence are rewarded with clarity, a sharpening of purpose that allows for a greater connection to the divine. Historians still debate whether this adopted stillness was intended merely to maintain order, or if it fostered a deeper communion among the monks and their pursuits. Focusing on this peaceful serenity, you begin to absorb the subtleties of your surroundings, nuances you may have overlooked without allowing yourself to truly listen. Silence becomes the medium through which the library's stories pass, a vast and invisible thread, weaving together each text and tome, each reader and scribe. At times it feels almost conspiratorial, as if the silence is urging you to lean in closer, to listen more intently to the voiceless echoes of the past. This is a place where silence holds court, a majestic and awe-inducing monarch ruling over a world where human endeavor and divine aspiration intermingle. The sensory deprivation offered by the library's silence is surprisingly rich, encouraging your mind to wander places unbidden and thoughts to unravel like cords, revealing insights not immediately apparent. You sense that the library's very walls bear witness to the transformation that such stillness can provide, absorbing the unspoken thoughts and unexpressed yearnings of every soul to pass through its confines. This atmosphere nurtures the human spirit, offering solace amid the complexities of life, acting as a balm to troubled minds, and presenting answers, not all of which are conveniently wrapped in the guise of certainty or clarity. It is, in a way, the dreamscape of pure exploration, unbound by the excesses of excess sound. The monks may appear unremarkable within this silence, but they hold a distinct power, forged through the crucible of quiet contemplation. Their forced restraint creates an environment that infuses the library with the kind of focus that transformational achievements demand. And as you continue your exploration, the calming silence continues to envelop you, offering whispers of secrets just on the edge of perception, perhaps waiting not only to be heard but to be discovered and cherished. Walking through the library's corridors, you feel a comforting reassurance in the quiet's embrace. This profound stillness shelters you from the world outside, much as it did those who sought refuge within these walls centuries ago. You come to understand that the silence here is not merely absence, but a passage, a bridge that connects you to realms of possibility that are boundless as the universe itself. So you tread gently, grips easing on the notion that this is more than just a library, it's a nurturing sanctuary, and within it, the great silence sings its endlessly captivating song. As your journey through the library progresses, you find yourself drawn to the collections, where a rich tapestry of knowledge awaits discovery, each piece a vital thread in the understanding of a complex world. Here, the library serves as a vast reservoir of human thought, a carefully curated compendium of everything from spiritual reflections to scholarly inquiries. You begin to appreciate the sheer diversity of the texts housed within these walls. Shelves groan beneath the weight of religious manuscripts, particularly the Bible and various theological commentaries that form the backbone of the monastic collection. These are works of devotion, painstakingly transcribed over years to preserve the spiritual teachings that bind the community and serve as a guiding light in a turbulent world. The dark ink on the pages seems almost alive, pulsing with the weight of centuries of reverence and meditation. In addition to these spiritual texts, you find volumes that delve into the classical worlds of Greek and Roman thought. Here reside the works of philosophers and thinkers who laid the foundations of Western intellectual tradition. Holdings include Aristotle's treatises, Plato's dialogues, and the musings of Stoic philosophers. The presence of these works alongside religious texts speaks to the dual pursuit of spiritual and intellectual enlightenment, a quest for harmony between faith and reason. Among the familiar names, you also discover texts with oddly cryptic titles, manuscripts imbued with mystery and obscurity. These are the ancient scientific treatises, works exploring mathematics and the natural sciences, with drawings that unfurl the secrets of the heavens through bewildering astrological charts and labyrinthine diagrams. Historians still argue whether these pursuits were primarily for practical application or merely speculative curiosities. Either way, They symbolize a desire to understand the universe beyond the earthly domain, the periphery of divine understanding spilling into the realm of human endeavor. In the corner of the library dedicated to ancient medicine, you come across texts filled with the botanical drawings of herbs and medicinal plants, their leaves inked meticulously, each line a brush of desperation against the unknown maladies of the medieval world. It's a poignant reminder of the perpetual struggle against the natural order, where survival could hinge upon the knowledge contained within these pages. As your eyes wander across this carefully assembled collection, you notice a curious item. The Bestiary, a medieval book full of fantastical creatures, each with moral lessons accompanying their depictions. Creatures, both real and imagined, leap from the pages: dragons, unicorns, mermaids, and the mythical basilisk, each inked with vivid detail, akin to a bestiary of dreams populated by vivid imaginations entwined with a moral compass. These texts are emblems of a period that leans heavily on allegory, where animals and their reputed characteristics offer guidance and caution. While perusing these texts, you begin to sense the faintest brush with a sagacious air, a gentle but persistent reminder that each volume holds not just words, but echoes of the hopes, fears, and aspirations of those who penned them long ago. There's something inherently communal in these echoes, a sense of shared human experience that transcends time, reminding you that the pursuit of knowledge is a universal quest. The sheer scope of these collections leaves an indelible mark upon the spirit, assuaging modern cynicism with the reminder that curiosity and learning are timeless pursuits, as relevant today as they were centuries ago. In this sanctuary of literacy, there's a staggering irony that even the most powerful kings of the era craved the tangible magic bound within these pages, while even humble scribes became immortalized through their penmanship, authors of fate etched in twilight. As you delve further, you notice the absence of certain works, gaps in the knowledge that once was, a testament to the lost texts that vanished during centuries distracted by empire building and conflict. Each lost tome represents an avenue untraveled, an imagination unharnessed. What histories or philosophies, now mere whispers in forgotten tongue, might have reshaped the course of human progress? With a flourish of imagination, you ponder a world reinvigorated by these lost treasures, a kaleidoscope of contemplation leading to futures yet undefined. Yet the library remains the dignified custodian of what remains, its role fulfilled in solemn guardianship, determined to preserve the vestiges of what once thrived. In its own quiet way, the library's collection whispers to those fortunate enough to explore its depths, gently imploring you to embrace the novelties it holds and to listen closely to the myriad tales each book is eager to share. You are not just observing history here, you are whisking through a living chamber where the past continuously informs our present and future. Standing amidst this forest of knowledge, you find yourself humbled, adventurous, infinitely curious, a seeker among seekers, chasing the moments where the unknown might sprinkle revelation upon even the darkest corners of time. Here, imagination thrives unfettered, wisdom stretches long and far, and you realize that it's not merely the words on the pages that matter, it's their invitation to contemplate and dream. You find yourself meandering to an area of the library where manuscripts take on a life of their own, their pages resplendent with vibrant colors and gilded details. This is the realm of illuminated manuscripts, where artistry and literature intertwine, coalescing into a spectacle of visual rhetoric that eclipses the solemnity of text alone. Each volume stands as a testament to the meticulous craftsmanship and artistic brilliance of the medieval illuminators. The illuminated manuscripts invite closer inspection with their elaborate designs. As you approach, you can almost hear the whisper of pages turning, an invitation to plunge into worlds bathed in color and light. These aren't mere books, they are windows into imagination, portals to realms of philosophical and spiritual exploration, garnished with an artistry that defies the fears of a simplistic medieval world. Your eyes are immediately drawn to the richly adorned initials that signal the beginning of chapters, rendered in exquisite detail. each possessing a unique character. These illuminated letters seem to dance upon the parchment, crafted with vibrant pigments derived from rare minerals and plants, and touched with delicate gold leaf, reflecting with an almost ethereal glow in the candlelight. Amidst these pages, colorful depictions of biblical scenes come to life, meticulously detailed with rich greens and reds, brilliant blues, and the haunting shimmer of gold. These images unfold narratives, each stroke deliberate and purposeful, intended not just to embellish but to illuminate the teachings within. Often, they are accompanied by intricate borders and complex geometric patterns, leading the eye in a journey as much through graphics as through text. The illuminations do not merely illustrate, they elevate, transforming the act of reading into a form of meditation. It's fascinating to think that behind each masterpiece stood talented artisans, often anonymous monks, devoted to the discipline of illumination. One might argue their efforts were as much for posterity as for immediate praise, artificial light shining through the shadows of history. Historians still debate whether these illuminations were considered embellishments for the elite or essential didactic tools for a largely illiterate populace. Regardless of their original intent, the beauty of their craftsmanship speaks not just to the eye but to the soul's curiosity. As you examine a manuscript, you notice how some illuminations include extravagant margin illustrations, playful, whimsical, sometimes bordering on the surreal, as they take the form of mythical animals, or spoof unfortunate monks caught in outlandish scenarios. Such marginalia, quirkily imbued with mischief and irony, add a touch of humanity to the otherwise solemn script. After all, they remind us that even in an age governed by austerity and contemplation, humor bore its own documents of timeless delight. One particularly eye-catching manuscript depicts a knight battling a dragon, not just a nod to the tales of St. George, but a social commentary veiled in metaphor, a valiant struggle against the formidable beasts of ignorance and darkness. Each burst of armor and scales is intricately detailed, capturing the potential for the pen and brush to serve as not only conduits of knowledge, but harbingers of awe, contemplation, and introspective battles as well. The entire gallery of illuminated works presents more than just an illustrative panoply. It's an invitation to perceive the Middle Ages not as a dark and dreary interlude scarce with light, but rather as an era rich with intellectual vitality and vivid imagination. It showcases how medieval society found room for art in the margins, offering splendor where function might easily have sufficed. As a humorous aside, you might imagine an artiste monk standing before his peers pronouncing, "Behold, my latest work," presented with all the grandeur of a modern art gala, as fellow scribes nod appreciatively because nothing spices up a vesper like a stunning illumination. With every illumination that invites your gaze, you become further aware of the myriad cultures and stories that have funneled into these pages. Each manuscript is like a layer of history artisans threaded into an embroidered tapestry, showcasing thinkers and dreamers, longing to join pages with pages into the scripts of existence. In their presence, you feel a certain weight. It's not just the gravity of historical knowledge or the burden of preserving the past. It's a reminder of the importance of creativity, the transformative power of art to transcend epochs, and the timelessness of beauty that resonates deeply within the human spirit, offering its luminescence. Leaving the glow of delicately gilded pages, you're left with the impression that the best treasures of the medieval mind are not locked away in dark corners, but revealed brightly, preserved within the folds of artistic desire. You traverse the rest of the library with a heightened appreciation for the resilience of art, and an understanding that though pages may yellow with age, the light they cast upon the seeker's heart remains forever radiant. Leaving the captivating glow of the illuminated manuscripts, you find your way to an adjoining chamber, the scriptorium, where the rhythmic dance of transcription brings words to life, a veritable forge of knowledge. This is the nerve center of the library, where the written word is meticulously crafted by skilled hands in a carefully orchestrated process that balances precision with devotion. The scriptorium is a hive of quiet activity. Despite its appearance of restraint, You sense a tinge of urgency that hints at the importance of its purpose. The light filters through narrow windows, casting angular shadows over the scribes bent over their work, creating pockets of illumination carefully designed to direct focus onto the labor at hand. As you step inside, you are greeted by the muted hum of activity, the scuffing of woolen robes against stone, the gentle clinking of tools, and the omnipresent scratching of quills as they dance across parchment. It is a symphony of diligence, a steady, comforting rhythm that cradles the room in productivity, echoing the centuries-old tradition of vitae, life, through scriptura, scripture, or writing. A set of long tables dominates the center of the room, each one displaying an array of tools of the trade. Quills, sharpened with practiced hands, rest in inkwells, filled with the unmistakable murky hue of creativity. Sheets of vellum calfskin, stretched and scraped until it forms a clean writing surface, lie in neat stacks, ready to bear the burden of thought and revelation. The scent of the ink mingles with that of the beeswax candles, creating an ambiance at once both industrious and contemplative. An industrious hum can be felt as monks meticulously align their quills to thin lines ruled on the vellum, ensuring consistent writing that is as visually pleasing as it is clear to read. Some scribes are completely absorbed, their concentration mirrored in the precise strokes and curled letters that blossom across the pages. It's painstaking work, demanding not only skill but immense patience, a trait both a necessity and a virtue within these walls. Nearby, a monk prepares new quills, plucking goose feathers with deft hands before shaving them into perfect points. The process appears almost alchemical as he carefully tests each quill, ensuring it meets the demanding standards required to repeat the cycle of transcription without interruption. Towards one side of the room, another monk rolls out freshly prepared parchments, smoothing them lovingly with hand and stone, as though coaxing them into submission. He's joined by a companion stirring pots of ink concocted from a blend of oak gall, iron salts, and gum, yielding an indelible blackness that stands the test of time. The scribe humors a subconscious aspiration that his words may author realities of the unseen future. Historians still argue whether the delights of illumination and transcription were seen purely as monastic devotion, or perhaps as a penitential path, the never-ending patience and care needed for perfect replication bearing resemblance to spiritual discipline. Whether as mindfulness practice or medieval vocational calling, this performance of words stands as a ritual, pulsing with endeavors to grasp glimpses of reflection nestled in every pen glyph. And yet amid this meticulous process, threads of humor cast their own light. You can almost imagine the monks playfully assigning their own idiomatic expressions like, "by the ink's edge," during momentary pauses from their domain of 1,000 letters after all. Camaraderie often grows in such close quarters where quiet ease surmounts time's phrase. As you wander through the scriptorium, you become acutely aware that this is more than just a workspace. It's a testament to the human spirit's quest for preservation, a cauldron where intellect and artistry meld into tangible form. Each quill that glides across the parchment etches not just words, but emblematic passages of existence in every stroke, a living bridge spanning the abstract and tangible. Gliding back to the main library, the scriptorium's soft bustle trails your departure, and as you transition back to the solemn halls, you realize this exhaustive yet extraordinary process ensures that no thought, however fleeting, is lost to time. Here, in delicious irony, what endures the most is usually ghosted by the transitory, illuminating eternity only made possible through unflagging dedication. In the quiet space that lingers between finished works and eager minds, thoughts of ink, vellum, and quills dispersing, you savor the scriptorium's allure almost reluctantly in its leaving. Yet its legacy carries within you a gentle lesson in patience, creativity nodding as a reminder that while ideas may fade or change form, it is their preservation that remains as their finest advocate. As you make your way toward the heart of the library, you can't help but notice the subtle barriers that stand between you and the full breadth of knowledge housed within these walls. there is a sense of selective access. The library's holdings are not freely available to all who seek them, but rather curated with precision, revealing a complex layer of permissions that govern this fortress of wisdom. The monks are not only custodians of knowledge, but also gatekeepers, their task an intricate balance of sharing and safeguarding. This is a place where the accessibility of texts is tethered tightly to responsibility, loyalty, and respect for the sacred words confined within the stone bulwark. Nothing is left to chance, everything aligns with the overarching moral and theological codes that guide monastic society. Taking a closer look, you discover the armarium, a special kind of locked repository wherein the library's most precious and sensitive documents are stored. This is no ordinary collection, but rather a hidden vault safeguarding texts deemed too valuable or too dangerous for public consumption. The armarium is steeped in an aura of mystique, its locked doors whispering secrets of forbidden lore and forgotten tomes that remain out of reach save for the most trusted scholars. The choice of what is stored here speaks volumes about the inherent power of knowledge and the need for discretion. Texts that may fall under suspicion of heresy, rare manuscripts of invaluable historical significance, and others containing explosive ideas deeply entwined with esoteric wisdom now closed to the uninitiated, all reside within. As historians continue to unearth the mysteries of their contents, there persists an unresolved debate. Were these works truly kept hidden to protect the masses, or as a means to control the narrative for those in power? Among the broader collection, there exists a subtle but enforced hierarchy of access. Novice monks, eager but inexperienced, are granted entrance to the most fundamentally religious texts' bases of learning upon which they might build their own theological foundations. Scholars, theologians, and elders, meanwhile, may have access to a wider array of documents, but even they have conditions with clear restrictions. Unfettered freedom is not without its consequences. It's a curious thing, watching these hierarchical edicts play out in small interactions, a fleeting glance at a coveted manuscript, a polite yet firm shake of the head that signals a denied request, the silent tension palpable in the air as knowledge is prioritized, sometimes even politicized. There's a certain irony in this situation reminiscent of an unspoken truth. Knowledge, while seemingly infinite, remains inherently finite, stored in fewer places than there are questions to be asked. Limits are designed as tests themselves, an adept motive to push against, as enthusiasts ponder on the eternal tapestry of the known and the unknown. Guided by an appreciation for this cautious push and pull, life within the library becomes a microcosm of the world beyond its walls, a dance of protection, a balance of measured generosity. The library's chosen architects tread carefully, for within each decision lies potential consequences that may ripple through time. You notice how even a casual conversation among scholars can feel like a delicate performance, as if every inflection, every turn of phrase betrays the need to toe the line between curious exploration and the measured caution imposed by ecclesiastical authority. This dichotomy is reflected in the hushed voices, respectful tones, and carefully chosen words exchanged in scholarly debate. For now, the extent of access remains out of reach, but the energy embedded in these protocols leaves a vivid canvas for the imagination. Above all, it is a reminder that for every truth safeguarded within the library, the right to uncover is earned, not given freely. In a place defined by paradox, where knowledge is simultaneously nurtured and guarded, the act of conferring access becomes a privilege and responsibility conferred to those who seek wisdom with pure intention. As you continue your journey through this breathtaking depository, the delicate balance between access and restraint impresses upon you the significance of context. It's a subtle detour, a reminder that sometimes the quest for understanding is met with a different kind of adventure, one defined by restraint and discretion, urging you to tread carefully, respectfully, reverently, knowing that to navigate these corridors of wisdom is a privilege in itself. These silent testaments of access represent unseen barriers, carrying with them an eternal wisdom, that somehow keeps the echoes of the medieval whispers alive, bidding you to question and challenge the very nature of understanding. Hidden within plain sight, these truths manifest not just behind locked doors, but through the grace of earning every word of enlightenment, a reminder of the eternal dance between the known and the unknown. As you explore further into the labyrinthine corridors of the library, whispers of a mysterious and forbidden codex begin to surface in quiet corners and hushed conversations. There's something ineffably intriguing about the idea of a text so rare and powerful that it warrants concealment, and the mere mention of it captures the imagination with all the allure of a riddle wrapped in the shadow of secrecy. The murmurs among the monks suggest that this codex is shrouded in enigma, a manuscript spoken of in reverent tones, suggesting both an allure and danger hidden within the binding. Such forbidden knowledge is tantalizing, hinting that within its pages lie truths or revelations that could unravel the very fabric of established doctrine, or challenge the societal norms prevailing outside these walls. Speculation abounds as to the Codex's true nature, with some considering it a philosophical text that veers too close to heresy, while others suspect it contains ancient wisdom born from esoteric traditions long forgotten by mainstream theology. Perhaps it is both a volume that transcends tidy classification, weaving wisdom and inquiry into something not easily grasped by those unprepared to confront its insights. Historians still debate the outright existence of such forbidden texts, questioning whether they are merely the products of a long-abandoned rooms filled with dusty myths, or indeed living documents hidden away for their potential to stir inner turbulence or enlightenment. The secrecy that envelops this codex is like a whisper in the wind, a suggestion, an overt allusion to what the library may choose to reveal only to a select few. The act of keeping certain works under protective veils speaks to the tensions inherent in knowledge, a dual tale of safeguarding and suppression, where ideas may not just divide but inspire. Yet it's a contradiction embodying the beauty and struggle of a societal yearning to remain purposed, committed to exploring while ringing the bells of caution for fear of facing one's own shadows. Even the most extensive archives have their undisclosed corners, a reminder that in humanity's relentless pursuit of understanding, the shadows accompanying enlightenment never quite dissipate. They linger, hinting at the unknown, challenging the accepted wisdom of every age. And so, here it rests, the forbidden codex, a phantom existing in the interstices between speculation and reality, its presence both a secret and a provocation. There's a treasure hunt allure, a quest narrative that breathes life into this quiet world. Within its pages may reside philosophies as of yet unwritten, or theories poised to unravel at the brush of illumination. You watch as a monk tentatively approaches the armarium, revealing the balance of reverence and restraint in this hallowed ground of ink and perseverance. As keys are found and chains clink, you wonder what thoughts flash through his mind, whether he perceives this task as safeguarding impending truths or the simple mechanics of routine. The forbidden codex, waiting ever in the shadows, almost seems to shimmer with potential as it remains couched in its cocoon of mystery. And herein lies its allure. Knowledge isn't just illuminated by the clarity of certainty, but by the courage of exploration, of encountering whispers and echoes in shadowed corridors, of pulling threads to trace tales beyond the known, and of daring to speculate on the infinite possibilities contained between the bookends of reality. In this dance with restraint, the library reinforces its dual identity, a sanctuary of both wisdom and whispers, contentment and curiosity, providing a space where the curious might tread with respect and a sense of wonderment. It becomes a monument not merely of the knowledge seized by its inhabitants, but of their hunger for exploration, a place that recognizes that secrets have their place too, and that at times a secret may beget the most fervent quest for truth. And so, in the quiet interludes of your exploration, the allure of the forbidden becomes woven into the texture of experience itself, a vivid reminder of humanity's eternal dance, stumbling and striving for comprehension, gazing ever toward the horizon of understanding with a heart imbued with curiosity and the hope for revelation. Moving through the library, you begin to comprehend the profundity of the sacred roll books occupy in shaping the scholastic and religious life of the monastery. Here, texts are more than mere collections of words. They are revered vessels of divine insight and human thought, pivotal to the ethos that fuels the way of life within these stone walls. You must imagine that for the monks, books serve as both companions and guides on their spiritual journey. Each volume transcends its physical form, becoming an intimate colloquy between the reader and the divine, a stepping stone to deeper contemplation and illumination. The texts are treated with an almost sacramental reverence, reflecting a belief that every word is an echo of the divine voice. Within this hallowed space, books serve as bridges bridging finite human understanding with infinite truth. Created at a time when the written word was scarce and revered, each book is cherished not just for its content, but as a manifestation of intellectual enlightenment itself. It's said that these monks regarded their library as an earthly preview of the celestial library, a celestial court of divine wisdom to be honored and protected with fervor. The daily lives of the monks are harmonized with this devotion to study and preservation. Hours are spent in quiet reflection and study within the library's serene confines, texts providing the foundation for prayers, sermons, and theological discourse. The monks do not simply read, they ponder and internalize, seeking not mere knowledge, but wisdom that connects the temporal with the eternal. Books within the monastery take on an existence that is almost sentient. The monks almost seem to share an unspoken understanding with these tomes, viewing them as instruments of divine will, their purpose immeasurable. These texts alleviate the monotony of endless prayer and labor, offering avenues for spiritual growth, for sublimation of desires into divine devotion. In this shared space, each text becomes an invitation to reflect, to engage in introspection, to connect with the wisdom of ages past while anchoring oneself firmly in the present. The library in all its quietude encourages you to adopt this contemplative stance, suggesting that the act of reading is not passive but participatory, not dormant but vibrant, even beyond the purely spiritual sphere. The library holds immense sway over the monastery's scholastic pursuits. As the monks engage with topics of philosophy, astronomy, medicine, and beyond, they contribute to a culture of reasoned inquiry, enriching their own understanding and, by extension, the broader intellectual world. Here, texts become arbiters of debates with both earthly and heavenly implications, discussing morality, the natural world, or the secrets of God's creation, transforming the library into a dynamic intellectual crucible within its seemingly quiet space. But perhaps what makes this bond between books and monks so remarkable is the mindfulness it imparts. With each word carefully etched by a scribe and each page handled with care, the act of engaging with these texts mirrors a greater communication, a consideration for how each moment, each thought, can be savored for the beauty it brings to life's tapestry. For those observing from beyond these hallowed walls, it's illuminating to see humanity cooperating with the pursuit of both faith and intellect, much like seeing the individual strands of twine into a cohesive cord of purpose and endeavor. Even modern, more skeptical minds can appreciate the historical weight and significance of this relationship, showcasing a facet of history where spirituality and scholarship walk hand in hand. As you continue through the library, you come to realize that books are not just for the monks, but are very much a part of there being a relationship built on mutual dignity, empowering them all to become bearers of light. Each text in its own way whispers secrets kept across time, offering enlightenment from the past, navigation by the stars, and stories of shared humanity. Here, moments unfurl where silence intertwines with the spoken word, binding lives with meaning, purpose, and revelation. Within this dance of letters and illumination, you sense the quiet resilience of these monks, their commitment to each turn of a page, each letter painstakingly crafted, and allow yourself to become a brief custodian of their eternal legacy. In the tranquil solemnity of the library, you come to understand the dance of reverence and reflection performed upon this ancient stage, bound by both ritual and exploration. You are left with the realization that each manuscript is an open door, extending an invitation to transcend time, explore the infinite, and engage in an unending quest for ultimate understanding. Turning your attention once more to the vast collection of manuscripts and tomes, you begin to appreciate the staggering responsibility shouldered by this library in its role as a custodian of knowledge, faithfully safeguarding human thought during an era often touched by societal turmoil and upheaval. Each carefully bound volume represents a singular thread in the delicate tapestry of preservation, woven amidst the flux of history with quiet determination. It is precisely this commitment to preservation that sets monastic libraries apart as silent fortresses of culture and enlightenment. As you wander amidst the scrolls and bindings, you sense the enormity of their purpose to guard fiercely against the tide of ignorance and oblivion that often swipes indiscriminately across societies, consuming whole facets of language, thought, and revelation. The Middle Ages were times scattered with the ebb and flow of conflict, territories disputed, societies torn, cultural landmarks raised in the relentless push of human ambition and error. Historians have long contemplated the concurrent sense of struggle and progress, pondering how chaos intertwines with civilization's triumph and, paradoxically, breeds creation as it engineers destruction. Within this tension, it becomes ever clearer that in monasteries tucked away in remote hills or deep valleys, libraries emerged as hubs of refuge and guardianship. The monks, faced with the ephemeral nature of earthly power, recognized that while swords and crowns may clash and crumble, ideas and insights hold the ability to withstand the ravages of time. There is a knowing reassurance that preservation extends beyond the mere act of safekeeping. It is a continued testament against oblivion, a defiant stance ensuring that the lessons of the past extend like tendrils into the future. By copying texts with diligent care, the monastery's scribes articulated a narrative of continuity in an increasingly uncertain world. Each replicated manuscript is not merely a copy, but rather a promise that wisdom, once gained, will not be lost. Every line of text, a declaration against the erasure experienced by ancient cities and cultures that have long vanished, becomes a shared inheritance across generations. And yet, beyond the scripted pages, the monks serve as formidable educators and conveyors of continuity. In an age where literacy was a mark of privilege and education an unusual feat, these libraries stood as bastions for those willing to tread the monastic path toward enlightenment. The monks of the scriptorium became intuitive bridges connecting unraveled tales and sustained tradition for future thinkers, ensuring the currents of knowledge continued unbroken. This dedication to preserving the flow of knowledge fosters a quiet hope. A hope that echoes the belief that even fragments of thought that slip through the fingers can be reconceived and rendered whole by the ink and parchment, safe kept in monastic shadows. In a world rife with the uncertain and the tumultuous, the preservation of knowledge becomes an unyielding beacon, lighting the way toward a promised horizon enriched by shared heritage. In the humble monasteries scattered across Europe, the preservation ethos is further revealed in the harmonious balance of faith and reason, a dynamic polarity achieved through selective documentation of sacred theological texts alongside secular science and philosophical inquiry. This powerful blend of perception and intellect becomes the bedrock upon which foundations of future enlightenment are laid, a bridge, too, between the divinely inspired and the worldly pragmatic. It's easy to draw parallels to the resilience of libraries even in contemporary times, where wings of knowledge unfurl in defiance of forces that seek to undermine truth. Geographical visitations abound wherein monasteries still stand as living cathedrals of resilience, and you understand that the essence they once protected is neither archaic nor stagnant. The centuries-old mystery is how, despite upheaval, the visible world continues to remain vibrant through the hands of those willing to bear its memory and preserve its glimpses in time. With gratitude, you recognize that you are but a witness to something timeless, a quiet but powerful saga chronicling how temples of learning and libraries ensure that the voice of human consciousness remains audible to those willing to listen. With a glance cast back toward the altars of ink and thought, it's apparent that while much has changed, the calling remains the same. From monk to scholar, hermitage to university, the torch of curiosity continues. Guardians who endeavor in continuity, wherein benign pens are rallied against bent swords, and thus the eternal journey pressing forward into fate's remarkable passage of telling tales endured and cherished. In stepping lightly from this cerebral museum of parchment and ink, you might humor the thought that no jest can elbow its way through such significance, for you leave with the realization that despite the centuries that stretch inevitably onward, the essence of preservation issues a promise to commit acts of remembrance in a superb matrix toward an ever-open landscape of revelation and awe. Continuing your journey through the library, you happen upon a rare scene that disrupts the usual hushed tranquility, a gathering of monks engaged in an animated scholarly debate. This is no ordinary discussion, but a vivid exploration of ideas, where philosophical inquiry and theological reflection merge like river tributaries flowing into a broader sea of understanding. The focal point of the debate is the works of Aristotle texts, whose inclusion in the monastic library is both a testament to their enduring influence and a source of ongoing scholarly intrigue. Aristotle's writings, with their intricate blend of natural philosophy, metaphysical speculation, and ethical exploration, serve as fertile ground for intellectual exchange, especially given the medieval church's complex relationship with secular knowledge. This lively scholarly debate unfolds with an air of both passion and reverence. It's a careful balance of erudition and humility, where the participants approach even divergent opinions with an unwavering respect. Here, rhetoric becomes an art form, its nuances as carefully crafted as the illuminated manuscripts that grace the library's shelves. As you listen, the voices rise and fall like the crests of waves, each monk contributing a perspective honed by both study and contemplation. Their conversation traverses topics ranging from the nature of virtue and the essence of truth to the mechanics of the cosmos and the interrelationship between faith and reason. The dialectic dance unfolds with engaging grace, each argument a new step in the intellectual choreography. The unique role of Aristotle's work serves to underscore the complexity of the monk's intellectual pursuit. While the Church seeks to maintain doctrinal purity, the thirst for knowledge drives these monks to the edges of what is known, prompting them to wrestle with ideas that challenge conventions, or perhaps reinforce them through deeper understanding. Among the brothers, there's a silent acknowledgement that it is precisely this tension between established belief and novel idea that sparks growth, innovation, and enlightenment. It's a modern irony that such debates, once the domain of cloistered scholars, now resonate with anyone who has ever furrowed a brow over the mysteries of a philosophy text. Within the context of the medieval world, the monks' spirited interaction illustrates the very heart of the scholastic tradition, a tradition that embraces reason as an ally to faith, where even seemingly disparate ideas are welcomed to the table. Here, they engage with Aristotle not to supplant theology but to enhance it, seeking to harmonize earthly wisdom and divine insight. Historians still argue whether Aristotle's works were wholly embraced or discreetly scrutinized, given the philosophical ideas that occasionally graze the borders of orthodoxy. Yet, it's evident that these monks are driven by a belief that all knowledge, even contentious or discordant, carries the potential to illuminate God's creation more fully. As you observe the respectful exchange of ideas, you find that the debate subtly echoes beyond the immediate circle to fill the space around it. It resonates with the essence of the library itself, a sacred repository where truth is not simply absorbed, but is actively constructed, deconstructed, and reconstructed through engaged dialogue and reflection. There's a quiet humor here, too, as you imagine the medieval jesters spinning tales of scholarly bickering, where philosophers engage in verbal jousts, lightly poking fun at this revered tradition of dialectical back and forth, a parodic celebration, as much as a pointed reminder that wisdom often wears the guise of simple, earnest discourse. In observing the debate, you realize that this moment is a microcosm of the larger tapestry of scientific and philosophical advancement, that the monastery embodies a testament to the power of discourse to inspire progress, to challenge boundaries, and to spark transformative insights. As the monks conclude their discussion with thoughtful nods and winsome smiles, you can't help but carry forward the warmth of their camaraderie, their unity in pursuit of shared exploration. Each step taken here allows you to appreciate the rare alchemy of intellect and friendship, which ensures that even the loftiest philosophical ideals find grounding in the fraternity of seekers. With the echo of scholarly voices reverberating gently in the corridors, you continue on your way, invigorated by this cerebral exchange, the constant undulating tide of inquiry, affirming that curiosity knows no bounds, and that engagement with knowledge, in both accord and dissent, preserves the fire of understanding and connectivity through time. As you navigate the wintry corridors of intellectual pursuit within the monastery's library, your attention is drawn to the subtle interplay between the books, their inherent wisdom, and the influence of those who ensured their place there. The shadow of patronage looms larger than mere shadows of ink, impacting both the contents of this collection and the very focus of scholarly endeavor. Wealthy patrons play an intricate role in shaping the library's collection, each text reflecting not only its immediate scholarly worth, but also the personal interests and theocratic priorities of its benefactors. These patrons, often affluent nobility or influential clerics, view their donations as lasting legacies, an investment that conveys both an image of enlightenment and a demonstration of piety and devotion. It's a curious balance between altruism and self-interest, enshrining one's legacy in the hallowed echoes of time, long after swords and titles are forgotten. One cannot help but marvel at how the mere act of endowing manuscripts ties these patrons into the centuries-old dialogue of human thought. Their contributions steer the library's breadth toward diverse fields, a tapestry of curiosity's colors unfurling in theological discourses, scientific musings, and philosophical logs. There's a tangible understanding that the collection reflects the dynamic interplay between ideas and the societal tides that buoy and sometimes drown them. Among the tomes, evidence of patron influence becomes clear in both subtle and overt ways. Some volumes bear etched dedications, gentle acknowledgments that marry scholarship with gratitude. Others emerge from specific requests for controversial or burgeoning topics. Astronomical treatises sparking debate over man's place in the universe, or the philosophical musings of pre-Christian thinkers that challenge the ecclesiastical status quo. Historians still argue whether the benefactor's taste leaned more toward enforcing orthodoxy or embracing the eclectic, a question that mirrors modern debates on the influence of private investment in academia. Nevertheless, what remains indisputable is the convergence of individual influence into collective consciousness, a dance of intent that echoes through the very walls of the library. The monks, in their adherence to duty, must navigate these influences with prudence, balancing gratitude with discernment. Even as they respect the wishes of their benefactors, they recognize the higher calling of maintaining the integrity and diversity of thought within their collection. Through these pages, monks educate the community and preserve the intellectual heritage that contributes to the medieval bedrock of knowledge. In the background of this relationship between patrons and the monastic community is a hushed acknowledgement that each gift intertwines personal motivations with collective goals, a ribbon curling across time, binding past benevolence with future enlightenment. Far from mere exchanges, these gifts reflect societal values and shifting paradigms, an insight into the evolving narratives that libraries preserve. As the interlacing threads of patronage shine upon this symbiotic connection, you begin to perceive how these relationships are harbingers of progress in a milieu that treads lightly between piety and scholarly curiosity. These interactions paint the library not only as a repository of words, but also as a stage where ideals negotiate purpose, highlighting how collaboration with patrons shapes pathways that mirror medieval society's hearts and aspirations. In your mind's eye, You could almost envision the gatherings where patrons and monks exchanged intellectual capitulations. Jesters, wittingly jesting in implications along light-hearted lines of books for building good karma, as laughter ripples around, reminding all involved of the vibrant humanity underpinning even the most sophisticated endeavors. Continuing through these resplendent halls, there's a quiet reverberation that leaves you with a deeper understanding of the power dynamic between wealth, influence, and knowledge. In each volume that you encounter rests both a nod to benefactors' foresight and a profound responsibility, a stewardship that transcends the superficial into something much more solemn, complex, and eternal. As time progresses, this legacy of patronage remains a keystone of transformation, guiding humanity's intellectual journey. The monastery's library, with its myriad influences and inspirations, stands as a testament to the enduring power of collaboration, a symphony conducted silently through the embrace of fleeting guardianship and the ever-constant rhythm of newfound enlightenment. As you traverse further along the corridors of the monastery, there comes an inevitable reflection on the roles and limitations placed upon women in the medieval period, especially within the realm of learning and knowledge. The library, though a bastion of wisdom, is a testament to the era's restrictive attitudes toward gender, a stark reminder of the barriers that prevailed. The library is, by design and function, a sanctuary largely reserved for monks, a domain where male voices hold sway over the ink and paper dialogues that shape understanding. Yet beyond the stone walls, the whispering winds of change hint at instances where women's voices, though silenced or sidelined, leave their mark on the scholarly pursuits nestled within. In considering the limited role of women in monastic libraries, it's essential to recognize their indirect yet significant contributions. Nuns residing in convents and abbeys, though separated from their male counterparts in monastic life, engage in a parallel pursuit of knowledge. Many of them are skilled scribes, educators, and scholars in their own right, dedicating their lives to spiritual and intellectual enlightenment, parallel to the work done within the monastic walls. You imagine the lives of noblewomen and aristocrats who hold sway beyond the cloistered libraries, women who use their influence to commission manuscripts and catalyze scholarly interest in their chosen subject. The shadow of patronage and preference hovers above, shaping collections and prompting dialogue on everything from theology to medicine. Some texts bear the unmistakable mark of feminine influence, spiritual treatises written by women mystics, beloved saintly biographies, and poetic explorations of devotion that cater to both solitary contemplation and communal recitation. There are tales of female saints and martyrs whose lives inspire theological reflection, and whose stories find homes within these bound volumes, acknowledging the capacity for spiritual authority that transcends gendered limits. Historians still argue whether the pursuit of knowledge within convents mirrored or diverged from the intellectual avenues charted by male monastics. Debate continues over the degree to which women and their insights were acknowledged in shaping medieval knowledge, but it remains irrefutable that their contributions, albeit shadowed by constraint, were crucial and driven by tenacity. Within the monastery walls, certain texts subtly impart a feminine touch, initiated not merely by the whimsical margins of illuminations, but by accomplished women whose inquiries seek to illuminate the divine intricacies of the world. These insights are balanced delicately, as though caught in a suspended tapestry, a celebration of the quieter yet powerfully resonant intellectual currents that glide through the pages. Consider the echoes of curiosity shared between monasteries and convents, letters exchanged, dialogues embarked upon in writing, a whispered interplay between sequestered scholars whose voices sought unity even when distance separated them. These correspondences capture an unyielding quest for truth, an interconnected pursuit not limited by the physical divisions of gendered spaces. Imagining this unseen correspondence, you half smile at the jest, a joker's mock gentle rebuke. What of the sisters' serenades? Surely a cantor should take heed. An acknowledgement wrapped lightly in humor, aim to reflect how this unseen thread of inquiry sang brighter, even when bound by the era's rigid structures. Through your journey, the realization takes hold that despite social limitations, the profound influence of women continues to resonate, a silent credo that transcends the margins and subtly expresses itself in myriad ways. Their stories, often unwritten or coded, transform the monastic library into a vibrant tapestry, enriched with the colors of their insights and struggles. The almost invisible threads of this collaboration between monks and nuns, between patrons and scribes, weave a narrative in which knowledge stands timelessly radiant, a shared beacon illuminating paths forward, while anchored deeply in the shadows of history. So, as you wander through the library's expansive halls, there rises a hopeful acknowledgement that while stories bear witness to those often left unseen, their legacies thrive in the reflection of luminary thought, and, perhaps most heartening, their voices, though softly shrouded throughout time, will continue to inspire future seekers, weaving tales of their own, establishing a dialogue unfettered by the bonds of bygone barriers. As you continue your exploration of the monastery, an unexpected discovery beckons a corner where the air seems to crackle with quiet intrigue and the scent of subtle alchemical promise. Here, in a secluded alcove dimly lit by the amber glow of candles, stands an eccentric monk surrounded by an array of curious apparatus and peculiar substances. It's a sight that strikes a chord of curiosity, revealing a vivid intersection of sacred pursuit and scientific inquiry. The atmosphere in this alchemist's corner is tinged with the faint and enigmatic aroma of herbs, resins, and mysterious compounds, intermingling playfully with the familiar scent of the library's parchment and ink. Exotic glass vessels and metal crucibles line the shelves, objects bearing silent witness to ambition, skirting the edge of the medieval understanding. Rings of condensation mark their time upon ancient wood, each marking a whisper of trials concealed within failures and triumphs alike. With an earnest energy that both embodies and transcends time, the monk's careful movements unveil his shimmer of intrigue and an unyielding belief in the potential of cross-disciplinary discovery. His modest robes are dusted with powders and specks of pigment, giving his attire the appearance of an artisan's canvas, a veritable palette of experimentation. Alchemical musings were often perceived as dangerous and wildly unpredictable. Great potential lay within both enlightenment and the perilous realm of heresy. Not surprisingly, the line between science and mysticism could become a fluid threshold, carrying within its richness an intoxicating promise to transform the mundane into the divine. Historians still argue over the exact roles of alchemy within monastic life, whether it served as a genuine exploration of natural elements or as a symbolic endeavor to uncover spiritual truths through transformation. Regardless of intent, these alchemists became lay mystics, dancing between the seen and unseen, extracting glimpses of universal truth from chaos. You observe the monk as he hums softly to himself, a subtle tune merging into the sibilant whispers of liquids simmering, with brilliant colors turning dull in sunlight and precious metals flirting with vaporous philosophization. His scholarly play defies the enveloping seriousness, or perhaps dances within it, infusing each calculation with the breath of faith and fascination. That harmonious tune grows to envelop you, a reminder that both science and art are suffused with the pleasure of merely thinking hard, reveling in the unity and discordance that form the curiosities of alchemical inquiry. Tyches of happenstance merge into revelry, an incantation of thoughts and musings embroidered by radiant realization. Nearby, you glance at open tomes scattered among his alchemical equipment, the yellowed pages filled with both chemical diagrams and symbolic allegories, contents locked within cryptic symbols hinting at further mysteries. Cosmic secrets, arcane principles of correspondences, and cosmic unions hinted at within grasp, translating the known to unknown, the lead into gold. In the quiet of this experiment, humorous possibilities abide. You can almost imagine an impromptu jester's play in the surrounding library, their rhymes twisting around concoctions with laughter-laden lines like, "Alchemy's the real jest, but who's the golden guest?" A nod to the aspirational absurdity of chasing liquid dreams in dusty alcoves. Yet the seeds of the scientific method lie here among flasks and potions, inquiry tethered by observation and testing, a promise of future enlightenment that would come to burst forth centuries later. The monk before you, though twined in medieval constraints, becomes a harbinger of innovation, a mystic with one foot in the future, a reminder that every journey of discovery begins with a single, seemingly impossible question. Bidding farewell to this sacred enclave, you carry a greater appreciation for the audacious merging of spiritual aspiration and scientific reckoning, a reciprocal dance of wisdom, untangling riddles alongside beckoning adventures. This eclectic shimmer of exploration seamlessly enhances the greater understanding of the world and its mysteries, a blend of divine musings and tactile experimentation, proving that wonder never ceases in its bid to transcend our understanding of the universe. And so, as you continue your odyssey through the library, you ponder the rapport between the spiritual and empirical, feeling drawn to the quiet allure of thought pursued within the alchemist's corner, where curiosity yet dances with the stars and mysteries wait to be unveiled. As you journey deeper into the cloistered realms of the library, the air grows thicker with an undercurrent of caution and gravity. It's here, amidst the silences interrupted only by the soft rustle of pages, that the silent specter of heresy looms large, reminding you of the dangers of possessing the wrong book or idea in these medieval times. The boundaries between inquiry, faith, and forbidden knowledge are often as thin and delicate as the parchment on which they are inscribed. The monastery, a sanctuary of learning, becomes a paradoxical paradox, a place where enlightenment flourishes under the ever-watchful gaze of orthodoxy. To navigate this realm is to tread a delicate path, where the desire for wisdom must be tempered by an acute awareness of doctrine and its potential enforcers. The library houses texts that toe the precarious line between doctrinally accepted teachings and those considered suspect or outright heretical. In a world where the written word holds immense power, these forbidden topics teeter on the cusp of enlightenment, but risk undermining established truths. Consequently, the careful curation of such works is as much an act of preservation as of survival. It is intriguing and unsettling how ideas that challenge the status quo are treated as potent catalysts for discord and dissent. Yet, it is also in these seemingly dangerous texts that the promise of progress, a broadened horizon of concepts, lies waiting to be unveiled. Historians still argue over whether censorship served to protect the faith from corruption or simply stifled potential advancements by chaining curiosity and fear. Amidst the shelves, you stumble upon a text shrouded in ambiguity, anxious times, rendered doubly so by cryptic annotations. The annotations and marginalia hint at works colored by philosophical experimentation, exuding the allure of heresy disguised as zealous pursuit. It's a heady reminder of the tension between revelation and rebellion, where even the simplest proposition could become a perilous shore upon which scholars risk their intellectual and literal security. Every turn of page is an unspoken act of courage, for those who seek forbidden knowledge must be prepared to reconcile its virtues with the specter of condemnation that hangs overhead. Here, discourse is not measured merely by intellectual merit, but through the prism of acceptable thought, navigated with precision and care. In this medieval world, possession of controversial texts could lead to dire consequences not only for the reader, but for those who dared transcribe or advocate views sparking concern. The risk of ostracization extends past ecclesiastical disfavor to physical repercussions, captured in the silent prayers of scribes who undertook the Herculean task of expanding horizons at the edge of discovery. This juxtaposition between fear and aspiration reveals a recurring irony that while knowledge births freedom and transformation, it often does so at a cost. Even in libraries that champion reason, the line between venerable pursuit and dangerous curiosity remains blurred, a delicate thread traversed by those steeling themselves against fear's embrace. And yet, amid such sobriety, humor can be found a jest made out of necessity, rather than mere amusement. Picture a monk, head tilted mischievously over concealed pages, wryly muttering, "Dare I say, let's read between faith's fine lines." Seeking balance between the rigidity of rule and fluidity of thought becomes a tightrope act even in the best of times. Leaving this zone of watchful, serious curiosity, you carry with you the realization that libraries are unyielding repositories of ideation spaces where history whispers between pages, beckoning the valiant to engage with its challenges. The lessons of heresy within these sacred halls call listeners to examine boundary-pushing ideas, recognizing within them the core of humanity's narrative journey. Ultimately, as you venture from the shadows and back beneath the soft glow of candlelight, you are left to ponder the paradox inherent in this pursuit to err or to examine. The realm between caution and enlightenment is eternally palpable. Even silence remains a co-conspirator in the pursuit of knowledge and echoes a quiet promise. When dreamers dare to peer into the abyss of doubted truths, society itself might one day be enriched through their relentless insistence on questioning that which has yet to be fully understood. As you continue through the library's corridors, your attention is drawn to a challenge endemic to this bastion of knowledge, a seemingly mundane but persistent battle against the forces of nature that seek to undermine centuries of preservation. The library stands as a bulwark of human intellect, yet it is ever vulnerable to the relentless onslaught of tiny invaders, bookworms, insects, and other critters. The richness of the library is matched only by the tenacity of these pests, whose appetite for knowledge takes on a literal form, gnawing through the fabric of written records. As a testament to their ceaseless presence, occasional pages bear the familiar scars of minute holes and ragged edges, each irregularity a mark of the library's ongoing insectivorous adversary. To your surprise, part of the monk's duty is not just the copying and studying of manuscripts, but also safeguarding against this minuscule menace. Their armed rituals involve a curious array of measures, blending ancient wisdom with creative problem-solving to shield their treasure trove from marauding mouths. Among these methods, you discover the use of aromatic herbs and camphor, strategically placed among the stacks to deter pests with their pungent and unwelcoming odor. Bags filled with rosemary and lavender nestled between volumes serve a dual purpose, both protective and pleasant, infusing the library with a subtle bouquet that dominates the senses in the absence of human activity's disturbances. Sand also plays a surprising role in this battle. Scattered along the floors to deter crawling insects, its gritty texture, a silent barrier sparing valuable manuscripts from unsympathetic nibbling. This forethought has preserved many a script from ruin, although you can almost imagine monks chuckling at their own attempts. Ah, how scholarly cavaliers ride sandy steeds to thwart papyrus plagues every dusk. In the spirit of innovation, the monks experiment with various concoctions, employing wine-infused cedar oils and vinegar-based washes, leveraging their trust in nature's curios against its more invasive proclivities. Every plague occasion becomes a project uniting the community, an ode to tenacity that requires both dedication and care. Sometimes, beneath the monk's pragmatic side, you catch humorous echoes at jest about the voracious scholars no larger than fleas, who, once banished from this haven, might just earnestly study the pages of Aristotle themselves. Within these light-hearted jabs lies a camaraderie that transforms routine pest control into a collective effort toward preservation and resilience. The monks quickly learn that vigilance is a necessary discipline. Moments spent ensuring each book remains in pristine condition are not just practical but elementally soothing. The spirited defense against nature's incursions reveals the reality behind intellectual ambition, where keeping texts intact serves as an unsung narrative, shadow dancing behind the dialogue. It's easy to recognize parallels between these humble endeavors and the broader concept of preservation as a whole. No feat too small, no detail too trifling when it comes to protecting the wealth of scholarly exploration. The continued confrontation against nature's entropy becomes an essential facet of safeguarding knowledge from the sediments of time. All those who have engaged in this task within the library find a small measure of triumph, knowing that in defending these texts, the threads of learned legacy remain intact. This interlude breathes vitality into presumed stillness, where wisdom endures only because gentle hands guide and guard it against diminishment. Leaving the pragmatic realm of libraries' keepers, you take with you insight into the myriad ways that dedication to ideas takes on physical forms. Much of this activity is woven patiently into the everyday lives of the monks, casting quiet spells of protection around the lives and words they hold dear. Here, in this microcosmic partnership between caretakers and creators, lies a beacon of our shared endeavor as human spirit manuscripts become imperishable. With renewed appreciation, you return to your journey, acknowledging how countless small acts, layered together, stand firm as declarations against oblivion, while the echoes of whispered jokes reveal the playful camaraderie intrinsic to surviving waves of history's joyful, voracious patrons. As you trace the quiet pathways of the library, your gaze falls upon the aging outline of an open book illuminated by the soft, flickering glow of candles. It is a scene that demystifies the challenges of monastic life, highlighting the practical difficulties faced by those who dare to read and write under the modest illumination of enduring candlelight. The library, a sanctuary of learning, is plunged into timeless twilight by the lack of natural light, its narrow windows ushering in only shards of pale daylight. As dusk descends and the sun retreats below the horizon, it falls upon humble candles to fill the void, their flames dancing like restless spirits over the pages. The air grows warm and intimate, infused with the scent of melted beeswax and soot of fragile tapestry weaving threads of shadow and light. In this melange of flickers and shadows, the monks face the delicate task of deciphering words that are sometimes swallowed whole by the darkness. Their eyes strain, poised over each page in a contemplative reverie, committed to navigating the labyrinth of knowledge with a resolve unfazed by time's dimming embrace. Candlelight, though softly captivating, reveals both the beauty and burden of such dedicated work. The gentle warmth envelopes each monk, inviting them into a world where words float above the edge of obscurity, luring the mind into flights of imagination. Yet, it is also a world of caution. A momentary lapse, a wayward flame could mean the difference between preservation and irrevocable loss. Historians still argue whether the reliance on candles was a deliberate aesthetic choice to enhance monastic meditation or a purely practical necessity born out of environmental constraints. Regardless of the reasoning, the sight of monks bent over their work in this limited light becomes an emblem of perseverance, a reminder of the lengths to which humankind will go in pursuit of wisdom. As you move deeper into this scene, the camaraderie between those who share in this daily dance of candlelight is almost tangible. The monks, attuned to one another's rhythms, navigate the flickering shadows with an unspoken understanding. Each holds the candle of another, ensuring that the pages of their tomes remain alight with possibilities as their thoughts weave narratives within stories. The repetitive rituals toiling and adjusting wicks, gently smoothing the pooling wax, and minding the delicate tapers become acts of shared resilience, an exercise in fortitude embraced through moments of earnest self-reflection. In these gestures, the library's illumination extends beyond mere illumination to become a testament to the commitment and camaraderie engendered amidst wax's comforting hues. Imagine, if you will, the occasional jest breaking this trance as the monks half whisper, "Torchbearers, beware not to wax philosophical and burn through all knowledge at once," a nod to the risk inherent in indulging the ethereal glow of wisdom's luminance. In their simple yet deliberate motions, the monks reveal a deeper truth, one wherein the interplay between light and shadow mirrors the ongoing quest for clarity. It reminds you of a delicate urgency, where each letter painstakingly drawn near to candle flame represents both creation and annihilation, a microcosm of the world they seek to explore through words and thoughts. As you slowly distance yourself from their gentle ordeal and spirit-lifting toil, the rhythms of these twilight scholars linger in your memory, a reminder that while the pursuit of knowledge happens in the grandest of epiphanies, It thrives most profoundly amidst the subtle persistence of modest rituals. Candlelight, as a timeless metaphor siphoning both vulnerability and conviction, continues to frame and illuminate the sacred dance toward truth. It urges a pause to appreciate not only flame's steady flicker, but the dedication etched within the shadows of all who crave the glow at knowledge's edge. And so, you journey onward, carrying the echo of these gentle and tenacious moments in your heart, a tribute to the sacred whispers of dusklit scholars, lighting the way across both time and understanding through the enduring warmth of thoughtful perseverance. As you weave through the library's stillness, a new presence captures your attention, a visiting scholar, sharing stories that drift through the air like whispered ghost tales. This scholar, a traveler with eyes that flicker with the light of far-off lands and unexamined tomes, stands amidst an audience of attentive monks. Their rapt expressions reveal a hunger not just for the tales, but for the connection these stories forge between distant places and the familiar sanctuary of the library. The scholar's voice springs to life in the flickering light, resonating with a theatrical timbre that breathes life into words, sending them coursing through the library like gentle streams winding through varied terrain. As the stories unfold, you find yourself caught up in the narratives, which dance between history and myth, a bittersweet blend of fantastic escapades and sobering realities. In these stories lie glimpses of distant lands where alchemists attempted transformations as surreal as gold from lead, navigators who charted stars to cross unfamiliar waters, and philosophers who inscribed truths upon stone tablets beneath vast open skies. The scholar's tales leap from tangible facts into the realm of folklore, reminding all present that history and legend often share threads that are intricately intertwined. You are struck by the tales of epics sung by bards in far-off taverns, where dragons soar above mountains and knights embark on quests of honor and wits. Still, there's depth beyond the entertainment, a core of reflection and wisdom captured within these narratives that hold universal lessons for the listeners themselves drawn into the tale. Historians and storytellers still argue whether these narratives serve solely as allegories or if they reflect attempts capturing history's shifting essence against an eternal backdrop of truths. Yet the enthralling vividness resonates throughout this sanctuary, blurring the lines between fact and fable where meaning matters most. As you observe the interplay between the monks and the visiting scholar, it becomes clear that these tales and stories serve a greater purpose beyond mere diversion. In their intricacies, they open doors to new perspectives, inviting the monks to contemplate life's grander narrative written in the movements of stars, the tracings of rivers, and the sway of beliefs across cultures. The monks are enveloped not just by stories, but by the potential connections extending from the library to the countless worlds beyond its walls. The tales become invitations offered by the scholar with a glint of mischief and knowing that encourage those listening to tread lightly into lands of possibilities yet uncharted. The scholar intersperses dry humor among the stories, eliciting chuckles from the monks who revel in the rare humor accompanying solemnity. At one juncture, the scholar playfully muses, "In distant realms, finder beware. Dragons breathe ambiguity, and gold bars might be better bets," reminding them through levity of the balance between embracing the imaginative and confronting reality. Drawing these stories through modern resonance, you witness firsthand how the act of sharing them, though rooted in ancient tradition, remains timeless. The storyteller's presence bridges the temporal gap, anchoring humanity's longing to make sense of disparate experiences, in harmony tethering threads of knowledge and empathy through voices that traverse and connect. As you drift with the story's rhythm brought to life within these weathered alcoves, you are struck by their magnetic pull. It echoes the inescapable understanding that libraries serve as conduits stitched into tapestries that bind community, reflection, and inspiration, while forming bridges spanning disparate realms. Thus, as the scholar concludes the captivating soiree, parting echoed words of wanderlust, you are left to ponder the story's legacies. They become intertwined capstones within the library's narrative, etching new lines upon the minds of those willing to listen, inspiring all seekers to explore untapped horizons with curiosity and wonderment. Embracing this timeless exchange, you move forward, empowered by the echo of knowledge's voice, threading through generations a reminder of life's grand story, as layered by voices both intimate and grand, transcending the particulars of one library, to unfold in their embrace the vast expanse of the universe itself. In the quiet aftermath of the visiting scholar's tales, your thoughts drift to the legacy left by this storied library. It stands as a testament to the passage of time and the enduring nature of human seeking a sanctuary for wisdom's preservation and a beacon of intellectual pursuit against a backdrop of the turbulent medieval world. Here, amidst stone and shadow, the library secures its role not only as custodian of the past, but as a bridge toward the future. As you wander the shadowed corridors, you can almost hear the whispers of scholars long gone, their thoughts captured in ink, suspended in time between vellum covers. Each room, each shelf, holds its own microcosm of human experience, chronicling not only knowledge amassed, but the societal shifts and cultural evolutions that these ideas have engendered. The care with which these texts are preserved speaks to their impact, each book a thread in an intricate and ongoing narrative of discovery. Beyond the mere preservation of texts, the library's legacy is reflected in its ability to promote inquiry, stimulating the minds of those who dared to pull at the threads of understanding. It fosters an environment that permits exploration and reflection, an allowance for curiosity to flourish even within the confines of a structured monastic life. It is an institution that respects tradition while planting seeds for innovation, challenging its patrons to consider the balance between faith and reason. Unfurling through these halls is testimony to the monks' considerable efforts to disseminate knowledge, to share these resources with others similarly dedicated to enlightenment. When you think about it, such intentions go beyond personal growth, encouraging a broader intellectual community to form an informal network of scholars, troubadours, thinkers, and patrons entwined across generations and geographies. The library has become an emblem of endurance, surviving wars, plagues, and shifts in empire. Each challenge faced elevates its stature, not by overshadowing hardship, but by demonstrating resilience, compelling those who follow to strive for lasting legacies. As paper and parchment weather time's erosion, so too do their bound words continue to shape and steer future epiphanies, ensuring that the well of inspiration never runs dry. Historians still argue over when and how precisely libraries transition from religious repositories to more secular centers of learning, a transformation we've witnessed emerging from shadows cast by Renaissance ambitions. Yet, amid debate and discovery, the constancy of the library endures. Transferable principles remain beyond the specifics of time. The library's legacy extends beyond grand pursuits, marking smaller, more personal triumphs and revelations, where questions echo louder within a seeker's heart than proclaimed across any kingdom's halls. Within these walls resides courage and boldness, nestled into subtle spaces, where each turn of phrase may propel futures yet unborn, blanketed with the quiet promise of potential folded within. As you reminisce, the warmth of camaraderie echoes gently with amusement, a jest whispered through spectral halls. In books, crusades foretell intentions, but scholars wield the sharpest pens, a jocular nod to the immensity of power and nuance these pages extend. The legacy of the library endures in the modern era too, where its lessons guide contemporary custodians to ponder humanity's narrative responsibilities. Herein lies a reminder that, while our tools may evolve, the process of engaging with knowledge remains humble, patient, and unwavering. With every corner turned, the subtle perfume of old pages drifts outward like an enchanting spell, a timeless tether binding wonder to intention, strengthening aspirations beyond circumstance. It is this rare alchemy guiding readers from lore to longing, nurturing dreams into the sweet veracity of genuine pursuit, harmonizing striving with embrace, learning with light. As you stand amid this legacy's quiet symphony, you take solace in knowing its chambers hold the past and promise of 1,000 tomorrows, unwrapping bindings, so that new hearts may drink deeply of ancient texts, timeless conduits connecting the seeker with those who once dared to dream. As your journey through the library nears its culmination, you find yourself lingering amongst the beloved books and scrolls. There is an emotional weight to this farewell, a gentle realization that these works, these living reservoirs of human thought and endeavor, have become like old friends over the span of your visit. Each book seems to whisper its own goodbye, its leather spine and vellum pages resonating with a distinct presence that feels almost sentient. The silence carries a different tone now, infused with the melancholy of departure. The air, slightly cooler and still scented with the aroma of wax and aged parchment, feels like a cocoon safeguarding the knowledge within as you prepare to step back into the world beyond these cloistered walls. This shift from the comforting enclosure of the library into the unknown daylight mirrors the transition every seeker faces, moving from a haven of comprehension into the complex tapestry of life. You pause to reflect on the stories and knowledge contained within these volumes. Each text bears witness to countless hours of labor and contemplation, echoing the voices of those who painstakingly copied pages under fading candlelight, the ink flowing like a homage to understanding woven into the very fibers of each parchment leaf. There's a poignancy in knowing that amidst their labors, these scribes committed themselves to the hopes and dreams embedded in script, rendering the impermanent into something akin to everlasting. With a bittersweet sense of gratitude, you relish the collection's diversity, ranging from vivid illuminations to dusty treatises, works chronicling not just theological debates, but journeys into philosophy, exploration, and the natural sciences. In this sanctuary, ideas coexist and converse, offering insights into the evolution of communal knowledge that has shaped and been shaped by this sacred space. As you trace your fingers along the spines one last time, you become acutely aware of the monastic dedication that permeates every aspect of the library. It's an enduring acknowledgement not only of the intellect, but also of the spirit, a testament to the monks who have inscribed their essence within this hallowed hall, ensuring that the wisdom preserved here is accessible not just for their own enlightenment, but for all who would follow in their footsteps. Yet, as you prepare to leave, there is solace in knowing that the very act of departure signifies continuity memories of your encounter, offering an invitation to journey further into the world, carrying with you the library's quiet wisdom. You hold within you a part of its legacy, the indelible mark of encounters with ancient minds and timeless knowledge, echoing through the corridors of your own understanding. At times, a companionable levity bubbles up, a jest whispered from the past as you turn to depart. Leave not heavy, reader, for though pages weigh much, their whims shall keep you light. A charming encouragement reminding you that knowledge, once embraced, remains a beacon amid life's labyrinthine paths. Stepping away from the soft embrace of this literary haven, there's a sense of reconciliation. Knowing the library remains connected to the larger narrative of discovery, a continuum extending beyond walls, defying the constraints of time. It reminds you of the thin veneer separating eternity from finite endeavors, the whispered promise of insights wrapped snugly against the tumult of uncharted tomorrows. As you cross the threshold and return to the world outside, the tranquil solace of the monastery roams like a warmed breeze, lingering lovingly in your heart, an eternal reminder that, wherever paths may wander, ink and vellum quietly speak, accompanying curious souls who dare to inquire and explore. Turning one last time, you send a silent farewell to the friends you leave behind. But in your heart, you carry their spirit of reading, reflection, and relentless exploration, a reassurance that the library's legacy, woven through time and bound by imagination, will forever inform and inspire those who continue to hear the call of ancient wisdom whispered across the ages. As you step outside the library, the day is drawing to a close, and twilight begins to settle over the monastery like a gentle veil. The air is crisp, carrying the faint, earthy scent of damp stone and the greenery of the surrounding landscape. There's a serene beauty in this transition. As the world enters a state of hushed anticipation, the boundaries between day and night blurring momentarily in the soft glow of twilight. Your stroll takes you through the monastery's gardens, a tapestry of nature's own making, carefully tended by patient hands. The leaves of ancient trees rustle softly in the breeze, their silhouettes casting long shadows across the grounds, creating a meditative harmony between the natural world and the architectural stoicism of the monastery. Here, even the plants seem to whisper their own stories, woven into the fabric of monastic life, unhurried and timeless. The cloistered space feels expansive, inviting contemplation and reflection as you walk along the flagstone paths. Each step resounds with a quiet echo of your earlier encounters, with knowledge and echo both grounding and transformative, resonating with the enduring rhythm of the monks who have trod these same paths for centuries. You observe a few monks moving purposefully, their robes fluttering gently against the evening breeze, the routine of Vespers imbuing the surroundings with an air of sacred ritual. As they pass, their expressions reveal a tranquil resolve, a reflection of dedication and devotion, transcending the individual and embracing the collective spirit of monastic life. The sounds of the evening begin to take on a life of their own, creating a symphony that marries nature's hum with the quiet activities of the monastery. The low murmur of distant conversations, the occasional caw of a nesting bird settling for the night, and the harmonious tolling of the monastery bells as they call the monks to prayer, weave together in a comforting cadence. Historians often muse whether twilight holds any deeper significance within the cloister, beyond its literal transition, a metaphor for reflection, an interval for revisiting the day's quests, drawing metaphorical parallels to life itself. It is an alluring notion, suggesting that twilight's gentle embrace offers respite from life's persistent inquiries and demands a time set aside for pause and intention, where clarity meets contemplation. Standing here, you witness the world bathed in a soft, fading light, nature's vivid colors sliding smoothly into muted palettes of dusk. You find solace in these moments of peaceful transition, recognizing that twilight mirrors the intellectual and spiritual explorations of the monks, a seamless blend of curiosity and faith, caught briefly between the seen and the unseen. A lightheartedness flickers amidst this tranquil scene as you imagine a jest tossed into the evening air. Twilight's tale, a secretive serenade keeping moonlit muses awake, reminding you that even in moments of serenity, there's room for a gentle interplay of levity and reverence. Enveloped by the calming embrace of twilight, you pause to reflect on the profoundness of your visit, on the intricate connections woven within the library and the larger monastery. It becomes clear that, just as twilight ushers in night, so does each day spent in pursuit of knowledge transition into greater depths, bearing gifts of understanding that continually unfold in myriad ways. As the first stars shyly emerge in the twilight sky, you find comfort in their luminescent glow, one of nature's simplest and most profound assurances that while the sun may set, the pursuit of knowledge and truth, much like the stars, continues to ignite the darkness with its subtle, enduring light. And in the whispering embrace of twilight, with the monastery's gentle sanctuary at your back and a universe of potential before you, you feel the gentle tug of curiosity urging you onwards, ever ready to embrace the unfolding narrative of discovery with an open heart and an unquenchable spirit. As twilight deepens into night, the monastery begins its ritual transition toward the stillness of slumber, the closing of yet another day committed to faith and intellectual pursuit. It is a time marked by quiet routines, as the library, much like its dwellers, prepares for rest, its well-trodden paths imbued with a timeless sense of completion. In the gathering dusk, you observe the monks in their evening rituals, a graceful choreography of quiescent devotion. Their movements are imbued with an almost meditative reverie as they tenderly ensure that the library's precious collection is safely secured for the night. Their actions serve as gentle reminders of the enduring bond between the sanctuary they maintain and the wisdom it preserves. Candles are extinguished one by one, the soft hiss of wicks whispering their farewell, leaving behind a lingering trace of warmth in the cool air. These luminous guides, bearers of light throughout the day's scholarly endeavors, now yield to the natural darkness that encroaches, drawing silent veils over the rows of books, shrouding them in comfortable obscurity. As the final pages are closed and the dust settles gently upon the shelves, the library stands like a sleeping giant, its heart still pulsating with the knowledge contained within its sacred bounds. The hush that falls is profound and expectant, a gentle lullaby composed of rustling leaves and distant vespers echoing from the chapel melodies, painting the night with sacred discernment. Historians might argue whether such rituals are merely practical necessities or are thoughtfully constructed acts of connection, embedding reverence into the closing of each day. Yet those who witness the harmony of these twilight practices would likely agree that this sanctuary thrives on moments steeped in a mystical serenity, a conversation sustained between time and tradition. In stepping through the passageways, you sense the intangible presence that remains after the monks' quiet exodus, a memory etched by the invocations offered through centuries of paperback prayers and illuminated dreams, lasting whispers that animate the library even as it sleeps. For just a moment longer, you stand there, wrapped in the presence of memory, and imagine the cavalier spirit of a monk offering a light-hearted solemnity. Hush now, tomes, await tomorrow's seekers, but dream loudly tonight, a reminder that even in repose, the echo of inquiry lingers playfully within each soul. Exiting into the cloister, you encounter the monks gathered under the night sky, pausing from their duties to gaze upward in peaceful contemplation. Staring at the celestial tapestry overhead, their eyes reflect the vastness of possibilities and the myriad stories yet waiting to be discovered, reminding you that for the seeker of knowledge, there is no true night. This tranquil observation aligns with the natural rhythm of the library's breath, waiting beneath a canopy of stars for the dawn, when curiosity and light again animate its hallowed halls. You are left reflecting on the realization that closing time here signifies not an end, but an interstitial moment of quiet anticipation, preparing for the renewed promise of exploration. With a final backward glance imbued with gratitude, you step into the night, the expansive serenity of the illuminated vault behind you enriched by the steady torch of understanding. Amidst the luminous silence, you cherish the knowledge that these bonds formed through quiet company and scholarly pursuits bind past to present, carrying eternal whispers to guide all who seek their light through the indefinite tapestry of time. In the tapestry of library life closing for the night, there lies a timeless echo, the assurance that in every silence lives the possibility of tomorrow's awakening, each quest awaiting the return of minds renewed and hearts rekindled by the promise of all the tales yet left untold. With a deep exhale, you begin the journey away from the monastery, where the world of pages, whispering shadows, and quiet contemplation has left an indelible impression on your heart. The path leads you through the gentle embrace of night, and each step carries the weight of newly gathered wisdom, unearthed within the monastery's timeless halls. The road ahead is enveloped in the soft glow of a crescent moon, casting a gentle light over the landscape, illuminating the way forward, a pathway that now winds with both familiarity and renewed mystery. Above, stars glint like countless pinpricks in the vast canvas of the sky, reminding you that amid vast infinity, the quest for understanding remains a constant, unyielding endeavor. There's a meditative calm to the night, accentuated by nature's nocturnal lullaby, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a nocturnal bird, the gentle hum of the wind brushing past your cheek. It's a beautiful accompaniment to the unfolding reflections within, as the rhythm of your footsteps guides you deeper into thoughts on the journey experienced. Your mind drifts over the myriad experiences from the monastery, a tapestry of thoughtful silence, spirited discourse, and boundless curiosity. Each memory serves as a touchstone, a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge is a journey between realms, between ancient parchment whispers and the fresh breath of tomorrow's inquiries. It is a thread that connects past to present, ushering hope and continuity into the infinite fabric of human stories. With a heart full of appreciation, you are reminded of the dedication of the monks, the serene presence of the library, and the promise it holds for future seekers. This sanctuary stands not merely as a relic of history, but as a vibrant testament to the courage to think, question, and embrace the intertwined dance of faith and reason, a journey that continuously blossoms anew with each passing generation. The road unfolds before you, now shadowed by quiet lampposts whose light stands sentinel against the encroaching dark. The path meanders, but ultimately leads toward life's open-ended questions, forever etched into the evolving landscape of thought. The echoes of your journey intermingle with newfound insights, creating music in the ongoing symphony of discovery. With a sense of resolution, you acknowledge that leaving the monastery isn't an end, but rather the beginning of an evolving narrative. It speaks of journeys yet undertaken, of uncharted knowledge waiting to bloom amidst the fertile grounds of possibility. You carry with you, like a steadfast northern star, the quiet determination instilled by the monks in the library, urging you onward in times of doubt and wonder alike. As you reach the cusp of your sojourn, a tranquil certainty wells within you that wisdom, like the stars guiding your way, remains constant and assured, lighting paths and kindle in hearts the fire of exploration, regardless of the era or its trials. In the velvet darkness, you allow your thoughts to settle, a culmination of gratitude, growth, and the enduring embrace of curiosity, safe in the knowledge that the pursuit of understanding is eternal, echoing dimly lit byroads into the radiant tomorrow. And so, with the dawn just beyond the horizon and the hush of night enveloping you, you step confidently into the vast expanse of possibility, knowing that the call to learning and the companionship it offers will forever guide you on your continued journey of discovery. As you drift calmly into the arms of sleep, lulled by the gentle rhythm of the world around you, remember, this is not an end slumber. It is a pause, a moment between breaths, between dreams, where you carry the light of inquiry into new realms of experience. Sweet dream.